Spring is a time for sunshine, growth, and renewal. Miniature gardens let people enjoy that spring feeling by incorporating nature with a touch of creativity. Debra Hopkins is here to show us how to create a miniature garden to enjoy all year round. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And thanks for bringing the spring hat.
You got it.
Oh, definitely. Great. You're dressed for the part.
You bet.
And so you have this hobby, and it's kind of created, a side business for you. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I can. I can. My name is Debra Kay, and I have a business called My Creative Heart. And I named it that because there's so many things that I enjoy doing, everything from growing my own food to cooking that food to creating the gardens. And when the fall comes, I start feeling kind of sad, so I start scrambling to get as many things as I can inside so I can create miniature gardens all winter long.
Okay, and that's what we're doing today, is creating a miniature garden.
Yes.
And we have a couple of finished ones here. Can you walk us through what you would do? We're doing one a little bit different from this one. This is kind of an open-faced one.
Right. One of the most important parts of the miniature garden is to have good drainage. And I like to use the small stones because that ensures that if there's water pooling in the bottom of here, it's going to be down in the stones and it's not creating a situation where my plants are drowning. People kill more plants by overwatering them than for any other reason.
Sure.
So it's a good idea to always make sure you've got that good drainage. And especially in this container because it doesn't have a drainage hole in it.
And that was only about an inch or so of rocks on the bottom?
About that much in there.
Okay, inch and a half.
Right. So how do you come up with the ideas of what you put into a miniature garden?
I scout around and I look for things, anything from in the woods to at the thrift stores to any of the places. And I love whimsical themes. I like fairies, and for my grandsons I like to make dinosaur type scenes, so I'll use big rocks and plastic dinosaurs. And here's a little house that I found at a thrift store and I thought it looked kind of cool.
Okay, so you don't have to break the bank finding things to put in these gardens.
No, that's what's really fun. And these miniature gardens have gotten really, really popular. You can actually go to a greenhouse and you can spend as much as $250 making one of these.
Sure.
And the one that I'm making for you right now is probably going to cost about $2.50.
Wow, that sounds a lot better than $250.
I think so too.
So you just threw a little bit of moss in there now, right?
Right.
And then
I want it to look real earthy and kind of like it's a very natural look. And then I want to put a plant in there so that the plant is going to look like the tree on the side of my little house.
And does it matter what kind of plants you put into these miniature gardens?
Typically you want ones that don't grow too fast. So if they grow too fast, you're going to have to do lots and lots of pruning.
Sure. And
so this one is going to be the little tree alongside the little house.
And I suppose you need plants that, can survive in the winter, in an indoor environment.
Yes. And where you end up with a problem here is we don't get a lot of light. So you can kind of make up for that by using fluorescent lights, or I'll set this on a stand where it'll be sitting where there's a lamp where there's light burning all the time, and leave it on like 24/7.
So where do you usually get your materials? You said thrift store, garden centers.
Here we have a lot of craft stores. Michael sells a lot of the things like the stones. I've got some crushed seashells here with the bulbs that I'm forcing in them. All these little rocks like this you can buy at Lowe's, you can buy them at Menards. And then the little figurines, you can just hunt around for those at your grandma's house, or they always have lots of that kind of fun stuff.
Sure. And then it looks like you have some natural things like driftwood.
Oh, I love the natural things. This little one, doesn't this look like a little gnome?
Yeah.
Oh, isn't that adorable? I just fell in love with it. And I actually have that sitting on a coffee table at my house with some rocks. Like this one is nice. This one I found back in the wooded area by our farm, and this is a piece of petrified wood.
Okay.
So I was really excited about the wood grain, and now this one would look cool with dinosaurs.
Okay.
Oh, definitely.
Yes.
So you're just kind of always on the lookout, in nature and in random stores.
I am.
So do you get your inspiration for things with themes, or do you find a piece like that and say, well, that's going to be the center of it and build around it? How do you decide that?
Basically, I'll find a piece and I'll look at the color and the shape and the style of it, and that will determine what way I'm going to go. Now, like this one, which has real scroll work, pretty little arbor in there, I decided that lent itself herself really well to my little angel that I put in there.
Okay,
And because of the colors on her, then I stuck a little orange butterfly in there with it, and I've got one clipped up here. So just a real calm, serene looking one. I also have some that I do that I put little miniature fountains in.
Okay.
So you can hear the water bubbling, and those are fun.
Do you create these miniature gardens for others? Do people ask about them?
They do. I do teach classes on it through my Creative Heart, and I also have another business called Garden Girls. And when we have Garden Girls classes, a lot of times in the spring we'll teach container gardening, and we'll create all different kinds of things. And you saw when you came to my studio the tree burl that is totally planted. And the tree burl was at someone's house. They were selling their house, and it laid alongside the house where the lint from the dryer was all over it. And I said, "Are you going to leave that there?" And she said, "Yes. Do you want it?" I said, "Yes." "What are you going to do with it?" "Oh, fairy garden. That's a fairy garden." And she was like, "Fairy garden?"
So you not only scrounge out in the woods, but at people's places as well.
Yes, my eye is watching constantly for something. And you know, I'll think all the way back to when I was a little girl. You know when you get the pizza in the pizza box? You know that little white piece in the middle that looks like a little table? That was a little table in my dollhouse.
Well, this is great.
So you've had this love for gardening since your childhood.
I have.
Well, thanks so much for coming on today. These are just great examples of being able to take little stuff from here and there and put together a piece of art.
It's really fun.
cheap.
Yes.
Yes.
Thanks for coming on today.
You're very welcome.